in the chat to introduce yourself and share your contact details, that would be fantastic. If you can keep your mics on mute during the presentations, and if there are any questions that you would like to ask, if you can pop those in the chat as well. We'll be having opportunity at the end of the hour session for questions and answers. So yeah, good afternoon to you all. It's wonderful to see everyone joining. My name is Fran and I work for Sherwood Forest Hospitals within Therapy Services. And I'm delighted and privileged to welcome you all today to our live event. And the live event is making movement a priority in our care homes. The event's hosted by the Notts and Nottinghamshire Falls and Physical Activity Community of Practice. And we warmly welcome you all joining us. And we particularly warmly welcome our guest speakers from across Nottinghamshire who are going to be sharing with us all their experiences of how they are promoting a culture of movement and aspiring towards encouraging movement, meaningful movement for the residents within their care homes. So we all know how important movement is. Humans are made to move. It's what we do. And the body will become better at whatever you do or you don't do, you know, and if we don't move, we become better at not moving. And if we move, the body will allow more movement. Movement is life, and movement is so important. Meaningful movement, joyous movement, so important. So without further ado, I know we've got a few more people still joining us, but we need to move on because we've got a jam-packed hour. So I'm delighted to introduce our first guest speaker, Claire Sharp, our Managing Director, Ashmere, Nottinghamshire. And Claire's going to share some of the incredible work that the Ashmere Care Home Group are doing around prioritising movement. So over to Claire. Thank you.
Thanks, Fran. So firstly, if I just introduce who we are, and then I've only got a very short 10-minute or so presentation to share with you all. I'm from Ashmere Nottinghamshire Limited. I'm the Managing Director of the group here, and we have a small group of care homes, all rated good or outstanding with CQC in the Nottinghamshire area. We do have our sister company of care homes, Ashmere Derbyshire, who are based in Derbyshire. We are, as I said, a small group. We're a privately run care home group. And in terms of the philosophy that we sell for our homes, is generally a real importance on A, animals within the home. It's probably less relevant for today's presentation, but B, the importance of outdoor space, and in particular accessible outdoor space. We don't work in floors or units, so all of our homes, all of the residents in all of our homes have daily free access to safe, secure outdoor spaces that they can access on their own. They don't need to be accompanied by care staff, and it's all set out so that it's safe for them to come and go sort of as they please. In terms of our homes, we have a mix of early stages residential through to late stages dementia. I'm being joined by one of our activity coordinators who's put together the short video at the end, Tiff. So she's here if there's any specific questions at the end in terms of the actual activities which we want to focus on today. So in terms of why I'm involved, we were probably approached because we're lucky enough to have a hydrotherapy pool on site, which our residents are able to use. But realistically, whilst this looks like a great feature, the majority of our residents never were of a generation that learned how to swim. So that really isn't one of the things which sort of features in terms of the activities which we want to share with you today. So if we can just flick on to the next slide, Adam. So this slide, I just wanted to sort of talk really briefly about traditional care home activities. So I've been here just under 10 years now. And when I first came, you know, singers, entertainers look very similar to the pictures you can see here on the slides, where you were sort of paying perhaps 10 years ago £50 an hour to now, you know, the fees which I've seen are over £100 an hour for, you know, a singer to come in and entertain. to me, there's real limited benefit to these type of traditional entertainers. I think, you know, £120 an hour is an expensive activity. You can see from the pictures here, there's quite limited viewing capability for people who attend these. You know, generally, most care homes don't have theatre type structures. So the people on the front row can see great, and anybody behind that, I mean, you can even see in the pictures, there's a few people that look like they're sort of struggling to see, and you know, I feel that they're not really best laid out for these type of things. For us here, we don't have a theatre space, so you've got set up time and, you know, the time to clear up afterwards, which is often in the dining room or the main lounge, which isn't an ideal place when you've got people coming and going or tidying up from lunch and so on. And also layout restrictions of buildings. If you don't have a large clear area that's not normally used, it's not always ideal to have these kind of singers in. And dare I say, they all seem to be quite similar. So I'm based on site in one of the care homes. I can often hear the singers, and it's not something which I particularly want to sit and listen to. So I dare say it's not exactly everybody's cup of tea. So on the next slide, these are just pictures from my care home here, or one of my care homes, in one of the activities which takes place on a Friday evening. So you can see there's genuine happiness here. These are genuine pictures. They're not framed pictures for Facebook. They're not posed pictures. And what we've done, you know, the reason why I've wanted to put this on a separate slide is I just think the contrast between the two slides shows what we're trying to do here and why our activities are different. Now, glow sticks and discos might not be everybody's cup of tea, but the point of this was that we've really tried to focus on, you know, what makes the residents feel genuine enjoyment, and what actually kind of gives them the incentive to want to get up and move and do things, as opposed to just sitting in a chair and watching. So on this slide, what's happening here is every Friday night we do a disco in our homes, a disco and dance, which for us is what a lot of the residents who are in the care homes at the moment would have done previously when they were in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. You know, they used to go out on a Friday night to a drink and a dance, a tea dance, or whatever you want to call it. So what we've done is we've tried to kind of replicate that to give residents a feel of, you know, what they used to do, and to kind of give them a sense of purpose. I mean, for a lot of us, we look forward to a Friday night because it means that we're finishing work and got the weekend off. But from a resident's point of view, it quite often means that Saturday and Sundays are much quieter days in the home, and not a huge amount to perhaps look forward to over the next couple of days. So this kind of tied in with what we were doing to try and find what residents' purpose, you know, giving them a real sense of purpose in their homes. So on a Friday evening, one of our activities coordinators actually doesn't work in the morning, and she'll stay later and run a Friday night disco. As part of that, one of the residents during the day will go round the home and work out what type of music, you know, if they want an Elvis night or a Beatles night or whatever. And it's always accompanied by glasses of wine and shandy, and the glow sticks and the hats and things really just are to get the residents in the mood. We all have, all the homes have disco lights and jukeboxes in them, and it's an occasion, but it happens every week. And I think that's really important to us, that it's something that happens every week. So it's not just once a month. Residents obviously can't retain the information of what's happening once a month. It's a regular thing. So then on the next slide, I just wanted to mention a few of the other things which we feel are the best activities that we do that are incorporating activeness. So I've already mentioned our Friday night disco, and I think the importance there is we don't just have activities Monday to Friday 9 till 5 here, and that has made a big difference to our homes, having evening entertainment on as well, as you would have done, as we like to do in our everyday lives. You don't necessarily just want something happening on a Tuesday afternoon. You want something happening at a weekend, especially if you've got people visiting. We also run a brunch club. So as I'm sure a lot of you do, we have mixed abilities in terms of our residents, and we have a portion of our residents who are here under a rehabilitation scheme, so they're going back home, and for us it's really important to keep them mobile. We don't want to de-skill them whilst we're here. So instead of having a lunch, a breakfast or a meal served to them, we run brunch clubs where those residents who are able and who are going to live back home will attend a brunch club. So they're fetching their own food, they're getting their own drinks, and rather than us serving them with a plate and buttering their toast, they're expected to go and fetch the butter and fetch the jam, butter it themselves, and we make sure that they have particular utensils to encourage the dexterity in their hands. We also have resident mascots here. So to give you an example, all of our tables are decorated with fresh flowers every week, but we don't go and fetch those flowers. The residents go and fetch those flowers. They go shopping themselves. They walk across to the supermarket. They'll collect those and they'll distribute them, and it will be the residents themselves that are in charge of putting those little flower decorations together. We also have residents who will go and fetch the daily papers every day. So they'll go out in rain or shine, and that is their job, to go and fetch them and distribute them to whichever resident has asked for whichever paper. The other things that we do is we have clothes rails. So residents love having new clothes, and quite often traditionally we found that we'd be ringing the relatives saying, actually, you know, your mum could do with a pair of new pajamas, can you drop them off? They'd be dropped off and that would be that. So instead of doing that, we've created our own clothes rails where we've purchased the clothes in advance in a variety of sizes. We have them on a mobile clothes rail that will be used across the group of homes. And residents will get up themselves, rummage through the clothes rail, like I'm sure a lot of ladies on here enjoy going shopping and having a look at what they want and picking their own items. So we let the residents do that, whether it be nighttime clothes, whether it be male clothes or female clothes. We've equipped the clothes rail for all of the different residents, so there's a choice for everyone. And that's a really good opportunity. A lot of the ladies here really enjoy seeing the clothes rail come out, having a good look through it. Even if they don't end up buying something, it's a real activity for them. It gets them up off their chair. It's a bit of an activity in an afternoon and something really simple to do. Next one I wanted to mention was on-site hubs. So during COVID, we started building on-site hubs in our care homes, and that has really expanded due to how successful it's been. So we now have pubs, tea rooms, we have nail and Prosecco bars. These are all on site, but in the grounds of the care homes. So residents walk to them, and from a lot of our residents' point of views, it could be a tea room in their local town. They actually don't necessarily realise, because of how it's decorated, that it's our private tea room built in the grounds of the care home. They still feel that it's a destination that they're going to. So there's been real value in that, and these type of things, whilst they do have an initial investment, are likely to last the care home a good 10 years or so. Last two, so boogie breakfast. This is something which an idea I think probably Tiff came up with, or one of the activities girls, through the success of the Friday night discos. We thought, actually, in the mornings, people need a bit of a boost. You wake up, you might feel a bit sluggish in the mornings. We want to set the tone of the day in the homes. So we have boogie breakfast twice a week in all the homes. All the staff join in with this, and it's basically, you're going to see a short clip of it in a moment. It's basically a motivational music after breakfast in the dining room to get people in the mood for, a positive day, to kind of get them feeling a bit more energetic for the day, so they might want to join in with other things that are happening. So we're going to show a video in a short moment, but I just have been asked to talk briefly about the challenges. So for me, it's not going to come as a surprise that number one is funding. So activities are viewed by a lot of councils and funding agencies as an ancillary activity. And to me, that's a massive problem. We all know the challenges care homes have, And it's no surprise that obviously if somebody calls in sick or you need an extra pair of hands, it's quite often your activities person or your hairdresser who will get pulled off what they were planning on doing for the day to help on care or domestic, which obviously means that the activities which were planned for the day aren't going to happen. So funding is a definite problem for me. I don't feel that activities should be viewed as an optional member of staff. They should really be essential in all care homes, and arguably not just Monday to Friday 9 till 5. Second challenge that I could come up with was really career development. There's not a huge amount, other than perhaps the head activities for a group of care homes. There's not a huge amount of career development opportunities for people who take up that type of role. So really we need more kind of training on specific things that they can do to keep the staff motivated themselves. It's often quite an isolated role. You've got your group of carers, your group of domestics, but quite often a care home will only have one activity coordinator. So I think it's really difficult to keep that person coming up with new ideas and to keep them motivated. My next challenge was poor pay, often means poor quality. We've gone through a fair few activity coordinators in our group of homes, and I think it's fair to say that, you know, the quality's definitely improved over the years, but it takes a definite sort of person to want to make the activities better within the home. So I think it's really difficult to find really good quality activities people. I'm sure a lot of other care home owners or managers on here will look for things on CVs that talk about crafts and everything else. But in terms of what we're talking about today, there's so much more involved in the role as opposed to just an interest in paper craft. Focusing on the good old days. So in terms of the challenges that we face, a lot of our residents will be mixed abilities. You know, we will have some residents who are further advanced in their dementia who need groups of who need activities in much smaller groups as opposed to you know, entertaining a room of residents at one time. So really they're the kind of main challenges that I just wanted to focus upon, and I've just got a short 2-minute video of some of the things I've talked about there, of the things we're doing here to share with you in case you want to try and replicate any of the things that we're doing here. Thank you.
Ladies on the rail today. Oh, I'd love to. We've had a few.
There we are. Oh, did you want it to go? Oh, yes. There we are.
Thank you.
There we are, ladies. You have a try. Then we've got one that's a triangle, and that one is harder. Yeah, that one's definitely harder, the triangle one. You see how you've got all quite a few colours there, look.
I know you do. We like to go out, don't we? Would you like to pick a tape? What would you like? What would you like, Pauline?
I like them.
Yeah? What about?
Can't play.
Very nice, yeah.
That one's been a good sell.
Iris.
Quite a few people.
Oggy, oggy, oggy. Nail bar, look.
Oh, yeah. I know they're nice, them girls.
They are nice.
Yeah,
Aren't they?
nice.
Give your nails nice, don't they? When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Ashmere Care Homes. Can you hear me? Am I off mute? Yeah, lovely. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Absolutely fantastic. We'll have some questions in the chat. I'm going to have to move swiftly on, and we're going to move now to Ella Peacock, Partnership Engagement Lead for ABL, A Better Life, to share her experience in Basset Law of the work that they're doing to prioritise movement. So handing on over to Ella. Very many thanks for joining us.
Fabulous, thank you. Am I going to cause an absolute nightmare if I try and share my screen, Adam?
No, you can do it if you know how to, feel free.
Thank you. That I had some technical difficulties, so I couldn't send it prior.
I did get it about.
Yeah, like 30 seconds before. So if anybody's got any questions, I won't be able to see any raised hands, but I'm sure we'll get to those at the end anyway. My screen should load. There we go. So my name's Ella. I'm the Partnership and Engagement Officer for Basset Law for a service called Your Health Knots. Your Health Knots are an integrated wellbeing service for Nottinghamshire. So we believe that everyone has the right to good health, and we're committed to reducing health inequalities through community-driven healthcare services. So we're commissioned by the County Council, and we deliver lots of things. And our core offer includes weight management, smoking cessation, falls prevention and alcohol reduction, which you might think, well, what has that got to do with our care homes? But obviously we know that these residents often can't get out. They're within the homes, but this does not mean that sedentary behaviour is not there, and it does not mean that movement's not important. So we delivered our falls prevention sessions, and me and a colleague that's now left us, we decided that we wanted to deliver these falls prevention sessions within care homes. So we sent some emails and we learnt a few things. We went into one care home to begin with in Mansfield and quickly established that there were certain homes we needed to be going in, and we needed certain kinds of residents. And we also established that actually falls prevention wasn't the best way forward, but instead chair-based exercise, because we realised that the residents that are often within these homes, as you've said earlier, have different abilities, and we didn't want to exclude those that may be bound to a wheelchair or be less mobile. So what I decided to do was, after some traction and some responses from care homes in Basset Law, launch a chair-based exercise pilot for our service, allowing us to go into these homes and support the residents. So far, we've been into 4 care homes to date within Basset Law, and we've delivered 6 weeks of chair-based exercise with sessions running for around 45 minutes. We use resistance bands, ankle weights, and sometimes wrist weights to challenge the residents and integrate strength-based exercises. We also use music when we can, depending on, again, the residents and the homes that we're in and what works best. So similar to prior, we've decided, rather than me talking at you for 10 minutes and telling you why this has been a success, I thought I'd show you a short video.
Ella, I think you've lost your sound. There's a little switch at the top when you share the video that you need to put across for your sound.
A switch where?
When you go, when you go to start sharing, there's like a little thing to check at the top. You might need to unshare.
Yeah. No. I was not hovering over it, that's why. Can you hear that now?
I'm finding them quite educational, because when we first started it, I struggled with knowing what exercises to do with them. So with Mari coming now, I'm taking note of the exercises that she's doing for which residents, and it's obviously working. So after the 12 weeks, I'm hoping to just carry on the exercises, whether it's one-to-one or in a group session.
Yeah,
just to keep them up and moving and motivated. So I feel a bit educated from it. Yeah.
Good. And it's been a laugh, hasn't it, as well?
It's definitely a laugh. We have a laugh, don't we? Hey, we have a laugh. Oh, hi.
Oh.
We enjoy being together, don't we, Sonia? Yeah. Yeah, we do enjoy. We always have a laugh when we're together. We've got long faces when we're apart.
How have you found the sessions so far that Maria's been coming to do at Victoria Care Home?
Absolutely brilliant. In just 3 weeks, we've noticed a difference in the ability that they're able to do in the classes. They're wanting to take part. They're a lot more flexible, you know, and they seem to be enjoying it, and there's a good spirit within the group, and we all seem to be really enjoying it.
Yeah, fantastic.
We're acutely aware that however fantastic that is, us coming in for 6 weeks is not necessarily solving a problem, but actually delaying, and that's not a solution. And actually, we want continuity of care in these homes, and we want this to sustain, and we know how effective it is, and we know how important this movement is to the residents. So not only did we decide to go in, I also explored what we could do to allow that continuity of care. So far we've upskilled 4 members of staff from the initial 4 care homes in chair-based exercise to allow for the continuation of this care and to allow them to continue delivering it. And we're also supporting with the facilitation of a regular meeting for care homes across Bassetlaw to allow for staff to share best practice and receive information from useful local services. For us, we've met and been greeted by the challenges. Obviously, we can't be in 19 care homes at once, and I wouldn't be able to tell you how many care homes there are across Nottinghamshire County. We definitely can't be in all of them. So what we're looking to do is be able to support in a systemic way to these care homes, the care coordinators and the practice managers, to provide them with the information that they need, the signposting. Since we've been into one of the homes as well, I know that they've managed to get some funding for some of the resistance bands and some of that, and as well as us upskilling the staff. So they've been able to find pockets of funding in response to us doing the exercise and seeing those benefits. So there's a short video, and this is just some of the staff. When we did train them, we trained some of our internal members of staff as well, including myself, so I was there for the day. And this is just a picture from afterwards with the staff and ourselves and our internal colleagues. So we're looking to develop the pilot, and we're pulling together the information so far after we've just finished with the second 2 care homes. So we'll be pulling this into a full review, which will be shared, and we'll be exploring how we can make this a county-wide initiative and share this with other care homes. And we're already beginning the investigations to go into 4 care homes across mid-Nottinghamshire and Newark and Sherwood. So we do want to do more, but the feedback's been amazing from staff and from residents, and we're just exploring what more we can do and how to overcome some of those challenges that the care homes face around funding and around giving them the skills that they need to make movement a priority, because we know that they might be fantastic activity coordinators, but they just might not have what they need to provide them with that specific specialised care. So thank you for listening. Any questions? Again, my email was put in the chat and is there on the screen.
Thank you very much, Ella, on behalf of us all. There are some chat questions coming up, and we're going to look at that at the end of the webinar. So thank you very much. Moving on now to Mariamo, otherwise known as TK, who's our specialist physiotherapist for Enhanced Health in Care Homes team at Bassetlaw. And TK is going to share with us her story of how she's embedding a culture of movement. Thank you very much, TK. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me. And I was just going to say a quick thing, something quickly about Claire. Thank you for what you are doing in your care home. And I think what I pick on was when you said something about paper crafts not being ideal. I always say to my colleagues in the office that if I ever go into care, don't put any coloring in front of me. I'll be the wrong person for coloring because I've never learned to color from when I was a child, and I can't even draw anything to save my life. So if I ever go into care home, please don't give me any coloring, but give me something active, and I'll be gone with it really, because I'm an active person. I go running every day. So if I ever go into care, I would like somebody to be able to replicate that, just to make sure I'm being dragged everywhere. That is what will make me happy. So I'm just going to be sharing, obviously, what we've been doing in Basset Law and how it's been very effective. And are you happy, Adam, to just kind of walk the screen for me? So we work very closely with Ella, who just delivered the last speech. But I'll come. So it's just a preamble for everybody to be aware, because I'm kind of bringing the professional view. Care homes are doing fantastic things. You know, they have ABL, and the care home are kind of developing their own activity. But what we have to understand is that as life expectancy increases and the number of older people, particularly those aged 85 and over, expand, there is an increase in demand for long-term care. So a lot of us, we hope to get there because there is increase, you know, the health services are getting better. So we are all going to live older. And the truth is a lot of us are going to end up in care if we are lucky enough to get to that age. And as the population ages and the number of the oldest obviously will increase. And the estimate is that by 20, it currently is about 1.3 million people in the UK age 85 and above. But this is projected to rise to about 3.1 million by 2035. Next slide. So a large proportion of people in care home settings spend a lot of their time being sedentary. And we all know this. You know, you go into care. And before I came into this role, I was a community physio. And I've been lucky enough, you know, to follow up my patients from when they were living in their homes, and then they are falling in love, and then they move into care. So they were working with Zimmer frame, but then they go into care home, give them 2 months, and I go to see the same person that was sitting at home, and they are totally chair bound. And I'm wondering what really happened between the 2 months that I was seeing you at home from when you move into care. So it's the fact that people spend a lot of time being sedentary in care home. And this is actually one of the leading preventable causes of death, that we can actually do something to increase life expectancy. Now, encouraging residents to engage in more physical activity could deliver benefits in terms of physical and psychological health and quality of life. So it's not just enough that, oh, they move into care and that is it. Some people even used to say that you move into care and that's, we can look at it another 1 year, you are totally gone. But actually, there are things we can do to kind of improve people's quality of life when they move into care. Now, there is a lot of evidence to support a recommendation to reduce sedentary behavior in older adults. And this is one thing that, you know, from moving into this role, one of the things I was very passionate about is the fact that even when I was in community, a lot of my residents go into hospital and they come out, you know, they were working before going into hospital, and then they come out and they are totally being hoisted. And it's something that, you know, after the last COP meeting, and I heard about how making movement a priority in hospital was really good. But then I'm hoping that obviously hospital staff can do a lot also for care home residents when they come in today. That it's not just enough that they've come into hospital, but to try and make them a bit more mobile so that when they come back into the care home, we can continue with that, because some of them come out of hospital and they are totally sharebound when they come back. But the recommendation for NHS England is that adults aged 65 and above should aim to be physically active every day, even if it's just like light activity. So there is evidence to support that. And we hope that they can do activities that will improve their strength, their balance, their flexibility on at least 2 days a week, reduce time spent sitting or lying down, and break up long periods of not moving with some activity, and doing exercises to improve strength, balance, and flexibility will help making older adults feel stronger and feel more confident on their feet. And next slide, please, Adam. So these are still some of the, you know, some of the benefits of doing moderate physical activities. It improves balance, it helps to improve muscle strength, general fitness, general well-being. And the most important thing, which we all know, is in falls prevention or falls reduction. If we can get people to be a little bit more active we can do a lot in reducing this. And so I go to my case study of a resident I actually work with in the care home. So I'm going to share just one of the residents I work with in care home. So Mrs. BL was a 95-year-old lady who was living in a house, but she was quite mobile, but having lots of falls. So she's had a fall outdoor, she's had a fall indoor, but she's always managed, with a skin tear here, a little bit of bruises. But in December last year, she had a fall while outdoor with her son, and she broke her right hip. So after breaking the hip, she went into hospital and she had surgery for the hip to be reduced. But pre-admission, she lives in a bungalow. She was quite active. She's a widow. She mobilizes with Zimmer frame, has full capacity. We know there is history of falls from when she was living in her house, but she was quite mobile. But after she had the surgery from hospital, she really struggled to weight bear and was discharged after assessment in hospital that there was nothing they could do. They couldn't get her back on her feet from hospital. And then she was transferred into a care home as a long-term resident because there was no way she could cope living at home. So by January this year, she actually moved into one of the care homes that ABL was working with. So she moved into there, and in May, she started the activities with ABL. But that care home were very fortunate. They were the first pilots, and they had a 12 weeks program of trying to get people active. And she was mainly involved in the chair, in the seated exercises because she couldn't stand. And she did all that for 12 weeks. But at the end of the 12 weeks, she had a discussion with the activity coordinator. And she said, oh, is there any way I could, because I feel that I'm no longer fearful of falling anymore. Is there any way I could do more? I would really like to get back on my feet. So the activity coordinator sent a referral to us, to my team as the physio, to say, oh, is there any way you could look at this lady? Because she's really, really improved with these 12 weeks of working with ABL and doing the seated exercises. And so she sent the activity coordinator was quite proactive, and she sent the referral to us. And then I went out to review Mrs. BL just to see what we could do. And we had, so Adam, if you go to the next slide. So we had a conversation of what matters to you. So that is where you have a conversation with somebody, because this lady had capacity and she could tell us what she wanted. And one thing she said was, I would like to be able to walk again. If I can just go from my bed to the bathroom and back, that is my goal. I would like to stop using the rotunda as it makes me feel very dizzy and unsafe, despite reassurance and despite the fact that she has been using the rotunda for over 5 months. So this lady said, I would like to get back on my feet. I don't want to use the rotunda anymore. And we said, okay, if that is your wish, then we can start. And I drew up an exercise program with the activity coordinator in the care home. And for week 1, all we did was sit to stand, matching on the spot. And the activity coordinator was able to do that with her for 1 week. And week 2, we went, and then I reviewed that again. And then we started walking from bed to wheelchair. Because if we remember what really matters to Mrs. BL was, I want to stop using the rotunda. So I just said, we have to set a goal in such a way that we can't go from you being share-bound for over 6 months, or in fact, by this time, over 7 months, that she's not worked, and then to go back to working. So we have to take it gradually. So by week 2, we were able to progress from step transfer, from bed to the wheelchair. And by week 3, we were able to walk 5 meters from bed to bathroom and back. And that was our goal. And at the end of that, and the day she started walking from the bathroom to the bed, the son was there and the daughter was there, and they couldn't believe it, because they said, oh, we can't believe that mom can actually get back on her feet. And she said, oh yes, this is all I wanted, to be able to go from bed to bathroom and back. But I said, actually, you've got potential and we can push you a bit more further. So if you go to the next slide, Adam, and by week 4, we were actually able to walk the full length of the corridor of the care home. So she could go from her bedroom all the way down the corridor, about 20 meters and back. But remember, I wasn't doing this on my own. I had my healthcare assistants that were going to do the activities, the exercises I set out. But by the end of 4 weeks, she was walking 20 meters all the way, the full length of the corridor and back. And I did a review with her last month. And currently, she's fully independent with personal cares and mobility. She now goes out with family, so family are not too fearful of taking her out. She participates in the care home activity, and she's generally very happy with herself and for achieving a goal. So actually participating in the ABL training and the care home being proactive in asking for further assessment from the physio actually help us to be able to restore independence to this lady. And she's doing a lot better. So on the background of that, Adam, if you want to go to the next slide. And on the background of that, because we have 23 care homes in Bassetlaw, I can't be everywhere at the same time. So what we have developed as a service is I've developed a 4-week exercise program that we are going to roll out to all the care homes that have not had ABL, because it might take a while for Hella to be able to go around. But currently in Bassetlaw, we are developing a 4-week exercise program twice weekly that is going to be physio-led with the therapy assistants, and is going to be aimed, because what we are doing is we are doing a lot of training for food and oral health, falls prevention, and this is being carried out by my healthcare assistants. But what I then want to do is, because all these trainings are actually targeted at the staff of the care home, but we are now looking at activities that are targeted at the resident themselves. And so we are doing this 4 weeks activity with the care homes. We are going to involve the activity coordinators for them to continue. And then we've sent the exercise plan out to all the managers. And we are hoping to be able to roll that out across Bassetlaw. So thank you very much. And I hope I've not taken too much time. If you have any question, please let us know.
TK, thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions, please, in the chat, and we'll get back to you. Thank you for sharing that. That was so wonderful to hear, and the wonderful case story. What a great outcome for that person. Wonderful. Thank you. So we're going to move swiftly on now to Lisa Tungate from Rivendell View Care Home. Lisa's on the webinar today, and she's going to share her experience with us all. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay. Hiya. Do you want me to share it, Adam? It'd probably be easier, won't it?
I think I'm already doing it, but if you
prefer
yeah,
to, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Can you all see it? Can you see it? Okay. Yeah.
Not yet, Lisa.
Not yet. Hang on then. Oh, let me start again. It's all right.
Do you want Adam to share?
Yeah, you can do then, Adam.
All right.
Just bear with us. We'll get Adam to share the slides.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got them on, Lisa.
Okay, lovely. So I'm Lisa. I'm the home manager at Rivendell View Care Home. Obviously, we were asked to come today to, show how we encourage activity in our homes and things like that. So, okay, next slide, Adam. There's quite a few clicks for each of them, so don't worry. So we've already gone over the importance of exercise, but I just want to touch on really is activities are the key of keeping the residents moving in the home. So whatever activities we can do with them, it helps so much. It really does. Okay, next slide, Adam. So TikTok. So how can TikTok help to keep residents active? Keep clicking, Adam. That's it. So residents have really enjoyed getting together with the staff and having a laugh and a joke. We look at TikToks, we try and reenact TikToks, and it really is just so much fun. We try and involve the residents in planning what we can do, looking at the abilities of the different residents and what they can do and that as well. But I think what's really good about it is they don't see it as exercise. They just, because we just have such a laugh with doing them. It's more like just having a laugh and a joke and things like that. And it's also something really good that we can look back on as well, because obviously we do put these through TikTok. We can look back through, we show family members and things like that. So it's really, really a great thing to do. Okay, next one. These are just some little clips. So if you click again, Adam, the first one should play. Yeah. So this is basically just running down the corridor, just having a massive laugh and a joke. But as you can see, we're all keeping moving and doing that one. The next one is some residents that actually sat down so they couldn't walk, so we were just doing under the sea things on that one. They seem a bit daft, but we have great fun. Next slide, Adam. So this one again, we're just going down the corridor. Just there's different music that plays, and I think Adam's going to put the link to my TikTok in the comments and everything as well for us. And this one, these two residents just have so much fun together. You know, we got them sweeping with a broom, all sorts. But as you can see, it's just great fun. It really, really is. So obviously there are some difficulties with doing TikToks. You have to be able to do them. Obviously I won't be able to do it. Thankfully my staff helped me with that, so that's really good. So some residents have really struggled to comprehend what TikTok is, but we're fully supported by the families of them and the staff going through the different TikToks, showing what it is, showing, you know, the finished result and everything. And they really do love watching themselves and seeing what they've done and everything. Unfortunately for us, not all residents can take part because our policy is we can't put anyone without capacity on Facebook or social media or anything. So we are limited then to the people that do have capacity. The other thing is we all know that there's some crazy TikToks out there and we can't do all of them, but we do give them a go and try and do whatever we can to suit each individual ability, and that's good. So that's TikTok. Next thing we do. We do weekly armchair exercises. We've managed to get a fantastic chap, Ross. He's a personal trainer. He visits every week. He doesn't charge us a lot, bless him. And the residents absolutely adore him. So he comes for an hour, he does a range of activities with stretching bands, weights, do carpet bowls. We do loads of little different things. And even those residents that aren't actively taking part, you can see in the background, they are trying to join in or, you know, just enjoying the moment, clapping and stuff like that. They are really, really good for any ability. So, you know, those that can't mobilise are still sat there moving their arms about and different things like that. Next bit, Adam, is just a little picture of some of the residents taking part. Yeah. So we have great fun. So obviously that's just so many days a week. So other activities we do in the home, we do gentle walks to the shop. So our home is we're lucky because we're next to Aldi and there's a bird. So we take gentle walks down to the shops. We stop for a cup of tea and a cream cake, which defeats the object slightly, but never mind. And they love doing the shopping and everything as well. We do carpet bowls as well. Quite a few residents enjoy doing carpet bowls, which we can do at any time. And we have recently done a competition, an inter-home bowls competition, and we were actually the champions of that. So that was fantastic. And the residents were so proud wearing the medals and everything when they come back. So that was good. Next one. So 10-pin bowling, we all think it's a younger, you know, person's activity, but oh, they had great fun. We do several trips out, but they really enjoyed the 10-pin bowling, and you know, we fully supported them and they thoroughly enjoyed it. I think everyone does a little bit of gardening in your homes. So those that can't get outdoors, we do it inside. We do things on the table. You know, we try and get as many people involved as we can, which is absolutely great. Next one. We've also got kindly a family member donated this outdoor Connect 4, but you know, we have great fun trying to play that. The residents, as you can see, are getting up, putting in the little counters and everything. So that's really good. And we just have a little bit of fun with it as well. We've also done a bit of Tai Chi in the home. We've had an instructor came into the home and she actually delivered a lesson, but it was quite expensive. And as already covered, you know, these activities can be really expensive. So we just do it from YouTube. So we put the YouTube videos up on the screen and we all try and join in and do a bit of Tai Chi, which is great. It's free and the residents enjoy it. So that's just a few ideas of what we do to try and keep everyone active in the home. And yeah, we just try and have fun with it as well. So Thank you.
Oh, Lisa, thank you. Huge thank you for sharing that. 10-pin bowling for more younger people. TikTok, my goodness. I mean, that's just incredible that people are participating. And I guess the visualization and seeing the videos back is really inspiring for the residents as well. Absolutely brilliant. Competition, teamwork, joy, laughter, meaningful vacation, all those things all wrapped up, just the power of movement, just wonderful. So thank you to all our guest speakers. We've now completed with our guest speakers. So what we'd really like to do, a big thank you to the guest speakers and to all of you on the call. We've got 91 people on the call at the moment. I just think that is just phenomenal that everybody's inspired about this subject of the importance of movement. Mobility saves lives. Movement is free. You know, we need to encourage and aspire and promote what benefits it brings to us all. So we're going to have a flick through the chat and try.
I'm just really conscious of time. I'm going to just pose a couple of questions to our guest speakers today, based on what we've heard in the chat there. So we've seen lots of amazing activity and the real importance of the joy of movement and getting to know your residents, your patients, your people in your care homes, and so that we are really making that feel meaningful. One of the things that stood out to me in the chat was somebody asking about how do we support our patients who are generally not moving about, who are not walking? How can we engage people who are perhaps using a hoist to move? So if I could come to each of our presenters and if they could perhaps say a sentence or two about what you're doing, and then I'll bring us all to a close. Who's going to offer first, or am I going to pick on somebody?
I'm happy to go first, Alice.
I'm going to go, Claire. I can see you've unmuted yourself, so please share some of your insights.
Well, it was just to say really that, I mean, we don't kind of, while it does restrict some activities, for example, walking to the shop and picking up the paper, realistically, it doesn't mean that people who are hoisted can't still engage in that activity. They can still go over to the shops in a wheelchair. They can definitely still join in the discos and the boogie breakfast that I talked about. They're still mobile upper body. They've still got, the enjoyment factor as well as their upper body movement. So to me, I think with most of the things that we've talked about here, there's always a way for people who have got restricted mobility to join in with all of them, to some extent. In the discos, Tiff's here with me, and she was reeling off to me, well, lots of our residents who are hoisted still enjoy the disco, and it's all about, moving their arms to the beat and that kind of thing.
They will move their legs about throughout. If they can, if they're able, they will move their legs in the wheelchair. We always make sure that everything's out of the way so they're not going to get in harmed near their legs and everything. But they do all join in, moving their legs as well as their arms, even if they're sat down.
Thank you. It's really valuable insight into inclusivity of movement and how adding that joy to movement really can encourage that inclusivity. Thank you. Anybody else from our guest speakers would like to say anything about how we support patients who are not mobile to be involved in activity? TK, you come off mute. I'm going to come to TK and then I'll come to Lisa. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Alice. I'm going to be very quick. So what I would like to say is, obviously, when I've gone around care homes, most of the activity coordinators is the most common question, like, what do I do for somebody that is struggling? And what I usually do is, number one, I will say send a referral to me. I'll come and look at that person, because we have to understand that activity coordinators are not medically trained, or, they're just people that want to do this job. So I will say, look at your therapy team, if they could come in and review everyone in that care home. And what we have done in Bassetlaw is to give exercises that is kind of appropriate. The most important thing is make sure you are doing something. Somebody that is in bed, we can hoist them into a chair. Even if they are not doing much, if they're in that environment, there is something going on inside, even if they are not able to vocalize and tell you this is how we are feeling. It's very good that we make them part of that team. But I will say, if you are really struggling in your care home, get in touch with your therapy service. Somebody will come in and look at the whole, the residents you have, and they can give you more appropriate a kind of activities that you can do, but coming from a professional angle, like, okay, this will be appropriate for this person, or this will not be appropriate. So I will say, do link with your therapy service and see what is available within the area.
Thank you, TK. It's really powerful to not feel alone in that, isn't it? Lisa, I'm going to come to you next, and then I might have ask Ella to drop her comments into the chat as because Fran's going to bring us to a close. So Lisa, please share your insights there.
Yeah, a lot of people can do so much from a seated position. I noticed on Claire's pictures earlier that you had people baking, and that we do that. We get people involved in baking, gardening, doing it from the table. There is just so much to do. And as already mentioned, just because you can't actually mobilize, you can still move different limbs of your body, tap to music, you know, and things like that. So that there really is loads you can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Our hour's almost up, so we're going to bring the webinar to a close today, the 7th of November. It's been amazing having everybody on the call. Huge thanks to the guest speakers. There's so much to aspire and encourage and work with here. You know, it's about joy, it's about fun, it's about meaningful activities. That allow life, isn't it? You know, we know movement is life, mobility saves lives. You know, we had our webinar in July, making movement a priority in our hospitals. That's available should anybody want the link to look at. This is about making movement a priority in our care homes and how we can all inspire and support one another. People are our people wherever they are, whether they're in hospital, whether they're in care homes, whether they're in the community. This is about a culture and a movement to encourage movement. As I've said earlier, movement is free. We can all add value, we can all encourage, we can all aspire to encouraging people to move more. Thank you so very, very much. We'll share this recording. We'll try and answer some of the questions as well that we've not got to. And again, back to the guest speakers, huge thanks to delivering the presentations and sharing your experiences. Please join the community of practice if you can on the Foundations platform. Alice has shared in the chat. We'll also add that to a closing email with the link after the webinar. So we'll finish there today. Again, thank you very much. Cheerio, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.